So here we have a picture of this electric all-terrain vehicle, which I forget how much it sells for. I think it's several $1,000s. It only gets apparently up to 25 miles per hour and up to a range of 25 miles travel. It's a little bit disappointing compared to other vehicles that are available. So I probably won't be getting this particular model. But here's a design, like a very quick design of what might look like if you were to construct a cabin over it. So it wasn't an open vehicle, but it was more like an automobile, and in fact to construct more of the sides, constructs more of a body, a chassis around it, so that you wouldn't actually see what you see here as the frame of the vehicle, like this. This would just be the internal structure of the vehicle, and you'd see a different outer an outer surface of this vehicle. Well, the thing I'm turning this microphone on to note is the thought that the truth is we're all familiar with the cliche expressions of people saying the truth hurts, and somebody says something and somebody else says, well, that was unkind of you to say, that was cruel of you to say, that hurt. And then people respond by saying, well, the truth hurts. And I would like to expand on this and say that very often you will say something, you will come out and speak the blunt truth, and then what will happen is, particularly the people that are directly affected by what you're saying, the people that it directly applies to, are going to take offense at it. And they're going to react and say what a horrible person you are for saying this thing, and how outrageous you are, and how everybody should the whole community should get together to condemn you for the outrageous things you said. And what I'd like to propose to you is the notion that the truth is outrageous. That when people are outraged by something, it's more likely because what the thing they're outraged by has more truth to it than not. If you say something that isn't true, and it's just completely off the wall, I don't think people are going to be quite as likely to, even if they're personally and directly affected by the statement, unless they have some perception that the general public is going to perceive it as being true, and then they'll be negatively affected by false accusations. In general, if accusations are so patently false and ridiculous and absurd because they're untrue, that usually the people who are being affected by it, people who are in the direct path of that remark, aren't going to be outraged by it as much as just annoyed and perplexed. And they'll have to say, well, you know, are you going to listen to the rantings of a crazy person? This is clearly delusional. Somebody just clearly delusional. But are you likely to get outraged by the rantings of a delusional person? If somebody is delusional, they're coming around ranting about something and saying, oh, well, that you come from Mars and I saw you in your spaceship, for instance, and it's obviously ridiculous. Are you going to get outraged, or are you maybe going to say, well, I'm concerned about the notion that there are some people who are stupid enough and ignorant enough that they would actually take these remarks seriously. You might say that. But would you go around saying, oh, I'm so outraged that somebody would say this. It's outrageous that somebody would say that I'm from Mars. I'm no way from Mars. I can prove that I'm not from Mars, etc., etc. That tends more to confirm that there's something to the thing being stated. As long as you're outraged by a statement of truth, as long as you're outraged by a statement, it gives a greater likelihood that there's actually a degree of truth to the statement that you're claiming to be outraged by. And statements that are just, in fact, outrageously false are likely to give us different reactions, such as confusion and being perplexed and astounded, but not so much being, I'm so outraged by what you said. So that's my suggestion, is to say the truth is outrageous. And that when somebody says they're outraged by something you said, it's probably more like an indication that there's likely some truth to what you're saying. And that's why they have to be so outraged. If there was clearly no truth to the statements that you were making, or the statements that people are getting out, that said something that somebody else is outraged by. Somebody somewhere, whether it's you or someone else, says something and somebody else gets outraged by the remark and announces how outraged they are by this horribly false remark. It's more likely an indication that person's outrage at the remark is more like an indication that you've hit a nerve, that the person saying it has hit a nerve, that somehow they've come close to home, and that there is more truth to it than not. Because otherwise, if there was no truth in the person that somehow fell under the shadow of that statement, recognize that no reasonable person would be able to believe this completely ridiculous statement, then the person wouldn't get outraged and say, I'm so offended and so outraged by this remark. They would more tend to express feelings of concern. I'm concerned about the well-being and mental health of the person saying this. I think they need help. There wouldn't be, I'm so outraged by this person. This person needs to be shut up. Because when that happens, more likely the person who supposedly needs to be shut up needs to be shut up because they're saying something that's hitting too close to home and coming too close to the truth. And that's the real reason they need to be shut up, and that's the real reason the political types put on this pantomime of being so outraged.